Hi, I'm Michael Connor. Tonight on the Texan Squad Show, I'm going to tell you about guarantees in life. And one of the biggest guarantees in life is the fact that Nick Casario loves to wheel and deal every single offseason. Which turns out it's not for guys that get you, all hot and bothered.
Ain't nobody getting hot and bothered right now, not with these deals that are being signed by the Houston Texans. We talked about David Montgomery, but right now it still feels like the offensive line is lacking what it needs to get over the hump. And the defense still getting all of the attention that the offense may need to get.
Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad Show, starting now.
Welcome to the Squad Show, the Locked On Texan Squad Show. Michael Connor here, and that is John Hickman. Stan is not with us tonight. We appreciate you guys. If you're watching live, stopping by, of course. Make sure that you're listening to this whenever it is on the Locked On Texans YouTube page, and you're checking out John's daily content as well. And, of course, you get this anywhere that you get your podcast, and it's absolutely free. I think Nick Casario would probably spend a few bucks to give us this show. Wouldn't be much, but he'd spend a few. That's for sure. We'll start.
1 year deal.
Well, yeah, 1 year deal for sure. We'd be on 1 year deal for life with Nick Casario. We got a lot to get into because they've done a lot. Not necessarily anything crazy. There's still the question of, have they done enough? Is there more to do? And I can guarantee you this tonight on this show: there will be nobody on this show falling for a fake name. That is the guarantee I can make. John, have you seen that yet?
The fake name?
You haven't seen this?
Who had a fake name?
Oh, boy. Well, I tell you what.
Oh. No. Yes.
We're not falling for that one.
Yes, we're not falling for the right tackle out of LSU.
Yeah, who's definitely not real. I mean, I just saw it a little while ago. I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, just absolutely crazy. But it's been busy for Nick Casario. He's doing Nick Casario things, John. There's been a lot of moves. Like I said, to start it, nothing that's going to get anybody hot and bothered. Have they done enough? We'll get deeper into the players, but I guess the start here, the question is, have they done enough so far?
I don't think so. I don't. And like Houston has made some moves that I think are solid moves. I don't want to sit here and act like Houston hadn't made any solid moves. Like I'm not mad at any of the moves. The Logan Hall, I think you look at, bringing him over, assigning him along with Dominique Robinson. So you're looking at Houston moving on from Derek Barnett and Danico Autry. Logan Hall will, in many ways, fill the role that Autry played for Houston. Reed Blankenship. A lot of Philly fans were kind of in and out on him last year based on some of the things that I saw. I need to take time to go look at some film.
They say a lot of mean things about him now that he's gone.
Yeah, well, it's not pretty. It's not pretty, but the Houston Texans, they get their first white DB in Texans franchise history, and the Houston sports scene gets another Reed playing some ball from. We got Reed Shepard for the Houston Rockets, so now you got Reed Blankenship for the Houston Texans. Braden Smith, I like that move. A lot of people want to, and Texas fans have this bad where they just automatically assume a player can be moved around, right? He's a right tackle. He's been playing right tackle in the NFL for the past 9 years. Let's leave him at tackle, please. So some of the moves that the Houston Texans have made, I think ultimately they've made some good moves. MC, where my problem lies, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Let's exclude trades. Let's exclude retaining guys. So guys that played for Houston last year, or David Montgomery, Houston traded for him. As of right now, they just signed Foster Moreau, tight end from the backup tight end for the New Orleans Saints. But the Texans have still signed more defensive players than offensive players this free agency. The Texans have still allocated more money on the defensive side of the ball than the offensive side of the ball. And that's a little frustrating because I look at the Reed Blankenship and I say, okay, he gets 3 years. He gets $8.5 million per year, something along those lines. Logan Hall's getting $7 million per year. That's $15 million for 2026. Could that gone somewhere else on the offensive side of the ball to get a better version of the offense or to help the offense get to the next level, which I think we all want them to be? We're waiting on for the Houston Texans to do that, rather. So it's not like the moves have been bad, but none of the moves screams taking the offensive side of the ball serious enough for me.
I'm with you that it doesn't scream taking it serious enough. I said this yesterday when I was filming on the radio. Nick Caserio, this is who Nick Caserio is. We know this every offseason. This is what, like, anybody acting surprised that he is operating this way, I think is just like not paying attention. We've had years of evidence of this at this point. And he is a guy that is clearly, to me, playing in the margin game. He is taking analytics and he is utilizing them towards contracts every single season. He is literally, I always like to make a baseball comparison. It's got a bit of a baseball comparison where, Moneyball became a thing because they found all these guys where they saw value. That's, to me, what it always screams. He's finding guys that he feels that there's more value in terms of what they can get out of them for cheaper deals than what they could get. Like, we would all love for them to play in that pool of, we talked about the pipe dreams of, hey, go sign Linderbaum, and then you go see how much money he gets from the Raiders, and you're like, yeah, the Texans are never giving that kind of money to a free agent.
That's no sinner.
Ever. But I think Nick just plays in the margins, and I get it that's the thing is, like, I understand why they do this because I do believe that, but I also get frustrated with it. I don't think there's enough value. I think that the thing that they don't value enough, clearly, is the offensive line. Now, maybe they go out and they draft another tackle that is the other bookend, and that really gives you those two stout guys on the outsides for years to come, and then maybe we feel completely different about this for a long period of time. But, like, this all comes back to what they're telling us right now is that this all comes back to our quarterback has to not be ass next season. Like, that's the only way I know how to put it at this point. He can't suck in the worst or the biggest moments of the season because we're going to probably have basically the exact same team and just hope for a better running game.
And they, if you look at the depth chart right now on ESPN, the starting left guard is Jared Patterson.
Yeah,
there's nobody else behind him. There's nobody else behind him. Houston retains Trent Brown. So now you look at Trent Brown and Braden Smith on the right side at tackle. Blake Fisher started a game this year at left tackle against the Chargers, I believe, where he played some good football. So I think Houston is set right now at tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. But again, for Houston, the last time we saw them play football, the guards and the centers were having a hard time winning their reps. Now, I just mentioned they signed Foster Moreau, played for the Saints, so they get themselves a tight end too, who's not going to have a problem getting on the field over Cade Stover or Brevin Jordan. But even to that point, it feels like, will Houston view that as enough? And when it gets to the offense, and this is why I wanted to point this out, like the Texans defense renowned last year throughout the league. Like, they were the defense that everybody loved, right? And then the offseason comes around, and they add Reed Blankenship. Okay, that's a good signing, but
did you need to allocate $24 million to that position?
That just doesn't make sense to me. And again, it goes back to the offense having to always kind of get scraps. The offense always having to, last year, what did we hear from the offensive line? The best 5 campaign, right? We'll see who the best guys are at training camp. We'll figure that out. You don't do that with the defensive side of the ball. The Texans have not done that defensively. They go out there and they make sure that the defense has star names, star power, game changers at every level. Offensively, it feels like you get in where you fit in. And after that Patriots playoff game and how things transpired last year where the Texans signed Laken Tomlinson, Ed Ingram, Cam Robinson, how they went about putting the offensive line together, it just feels like hey man, this routine that we've seen year in and year out for the last 3 to 4 years is not working. And honestly, even if it wasn't the Houston Texans, it wouldn't work for any team in the NFL. But it's even worse when you're doing it to a young quarterback when we have proof that a successful franchise in Chicago, what did they do in year 2 for their quarterback? So operational wise, putting together this offensive line frustrates me. And also it feels like when you add depth to the defensive line room, you're adding depth to the safety unit because they still got Caleb Bullock and they re-signed MJ Stewart. But for the offensive weapons, stay put. We're fine. Guys just got to be coached better. They got to execute. It's always they got to execute for the offense, but for the defense, they get all the top guys. I just can't make sense of it, and I think Houston is viewing the draft where they'll get better. Maybe add another receiver, add another tight end, maybe add another running back, add a guard, add a center. Who knows? We'll see.
Better add some linemen.
They got to add some more linemen because what they have is not good enough. But like I said, it's just frustrating because it feels like once we get to the draft, we're going to be waiting and hoping the players that are drafted to Houston saves them. And at the positions that the Houston Texans need to upgrade, offensive guard, center, tight end, they haven't drafted well at either of those positions. And so what makes me think this year is going to be different than years prior? I don't.
I'm with you there. There is no reason at all to believe that they can find and evaluate. Now, I shouldn't say at all. They have had some players that have been okay, not great, obviously, on that offensive line. We all believe that Ursary is going to be one of those anchor type of pieces for a long period of time based off of his rookie season. It looks like that was a hit. They have to me, get one of those pieces. And, this is where I go back and forth on, and we were talking about this yesterday too. I get frustrated. I know, John, even though you have rooting interest in a different team, like I know it frustrates you too. It obviously frustrates Stan, like watching how they put this thing together. We are also talking about a team and I try to remind myself this too. They have won 32 games over the last 3 years in the regular season.
Right.
They're not bad. It's not like it's not working necessarily. It's just the question of why aren't you doing a little bit more? Why, from the public eye? And I think I would get tripped up in it too. At least I do. You look at dollars and you look at teams spending this, spending that, and just, that doesn't always equate the success every single year. But there are also plenty of, like you mentioned, the Bears. The Bears did it last year, and they went out there and they spent a ton of money and they had success, and it made them a better football team. So, like, I'm trying to find my way to look at the big picture. But now I will say today on the 11th, there's still time. There's still plenty of guys available that you could go pick up. But right now, it's there's nothing that's inspiring about the first few days of the legal tampering. Now the first official day of the league year.
It's still a lot of time left. I also look at Nick Caserio's past. Only 3 days have gone by so far, and still players out there. Has he making a move to get a difference maker? No. And David Njoku's still available. Now, we're not sure what the medicals look like, if there's something wrong with, a physical behind the scenes that, you don't want to sign him, and then that something happens where he doesn't pass the physical, i.e. Max Crosby, which is crazy, by the way.
Wild day.
It feels like, again, like they're just getting scraps. They're getting good guys, solid moves, nothing too crazy. But can the offense, like with the quarterback play, and I think it's fair for us to say before we move on, I think it's fair for us to say, like, as of right now, the quarterback isn't the quarterback that can raise everybody around him. It feels like everybody around him has to raise his level of play. So that said, none of the moves scream difference maker offensively. That's not a difference maker outside of Nico Collins right now. And in many ways, Dalton Schultz.
By the way, Nico's looking at that Pierce deal and going, hey, buddy, let's go. Pay up.
Yeah. one more year, Mr. Nice Guy. And after that, I feel like we're going to start hearing. There's no way Alec Pierce is making that money, and I'm not making.
What a terrible deal that was for the Colts.
The Colts are just terrible because they signed Daniel Jones for, was it 48 a year?
Yeah.
That's,
keep doing.
They are scared to hit the reset button.
They're stuck in the middle.
They're stuck in the middle, and trading for Ahmad Sauce Gardner, giving up those picks, they are going to be stuck there in purgatory for a while. But for Houston, just to close it out, Nick Caserio hadn't done anything to move the needle offensively, and we know that they need needle movers.
Yeah. Before we get into the bigger picture of like what guys are available, I do have some names that I wanted to run by you a little bit later on in the show. Let's kind of grade what they've done, move by move to this point here when we return to the Locked On Texans Squad show. Welcome to the 5-hour energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like confetti craze, fruity rainbow, or cotton candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready. And I've got my number one pick for the 5-hour energy draft. And I'm telling you right now, confetti craze, absolutely my number one pick. It's a delicious blend of rich and buttery, freshly baked confetti cake, smooth vanilla frosting, and a sprinkle of sweetness in every sip. Sweet birthday cake inspired flavor, notes of that vanilla frosting, and sugary sprinkles. It's awesome. I'm just a big fan of cake, so I'm going to take that one first. 5-hour energy shots give you a boost of energy with zero sugar. Pretty darn awesome. Find your new favorite 5-hour energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. The Texan Squad show on a Wednesday night. Thanks for joining us. Michael Connor, John Hickman with you. Stan is not with us tonight. He'll be back for the next one, and we'll have plenty of thoughts, of course. Probably more moves for Nick Caserio by the next time we get together, because every time that we talk, he's done something else. I mean, literally, he had the Foster. It's Moreau, right? Moreau? I always want to say Morneau. It's not Morneau. Morneau was a baseball player. Moreau from the Saints today, the tight end, is signing with them. Didn't see any details on that contract, but he is joining this football team. Let's go through the moves that they've made real quick and just give a letter grade on them here in this segment, John. We'll start with guys that they've kept. Ed Ingram gets a 3-year, $37.5 million deal.
Good value.
How would you grade that one?
Good value. I think Ed provided a lot for Houston in the run game last year. Was their best run blocker. Remember those reports north of $18 million?
Yeah. In all fairness, the person that was reporting those also got duped by a fake name.
Yeah, that was just.
It's unfortunate. I just want to. I mean, like, it makes me laugh so much because I've been there. It didn't happen to me personally years and years and years ago when I was my first start in radio. I was a producer still, and we had the Astros games on the radio, and it was a spring training game, so those games were just a total joke. And the old announcer Milo Hamilton, who at the time was like almost 80 years old or was 80 years old, we used to play pranks on him and give him fake names to announce like Astros fan, this is listening, and happy birthday this, happy birthday that. And I gave him Hugh Jazz one time. I told him that Hugh Jazz was listening and it was his 37th birthday. And he came back from an inning and he goes, I just want to give a birthday shout out today to Hugh Jazz. It's his 37th birthday. And I felt so bad about it after, but then, now I laugh about it. Sorry.
And the one from last night, I woke up to it and I was just like, no, man.
Yeah.
He's one of the best in the business out here in Houston. But, I like it. I love the fact that Houston didn't overspend. And I think that's what the Houston Texans were waiting on. Like, I think they allow for Ingram to maybe look around and say, okay, let's see what my market is. It's not as high as maybe he thought it was. Maybe his agent thought it was going to be. And I think Houston got a team-friendly deal done with him to bring him back. And it's important to have continuity, which is why I also think that's a great decision for them to bring back Trent Brown. So if I give it a grade, I would give it a B.
I think I would agree with that B. I think it's a solid B. I would agree with you. I think the deal, it surprised me that it came in under 15 a year. I was very happy about that. Yeah.
Yes.
Nick Caserio mentioned at the combine, as a player, sometimes you get a player in a different atmosphere, different place, and they figure it out. And it looked like he was that kind of player last year, so I'm fine with it. Sheldon Rankins, 2 years, $12 million. What are you giving that one?
I think that's a B, solid B. A lot of these moves, like I said, man, they're not moving me, but they're still solid moves. So, and by the way, with your boy Ed Ingram, what I hope is that the Ed Ingram we saw in 2025 doesn't turn out to be the Shaq Mason we saw in 2024. Like, I hope the 2026 version of Ed Ingram doesn't look like Shaq Mason of 2024. Granted, a lot younger than Shaq Mason at the time of the 24 season, so that's going to play into maybe the favor and theory that Ed Ingram won't have that downfall. They have similar contracts, extremely similar extension contracts, and so Houston could very well move on from Ingram if they decide to after the following year. But Sheldon Rankins had 5 sacks from the year last year. I think he is a great engine piece to what the defense needs from their D tackles. And here's another thing. Ed Ingram can be the perfect vet and leader for a young defensive tackle that I believe the Houston Texans will take in this year's draft. Texas fans, keep your eyes out on a Lee Hunter, Texas Tech. I like him. I am really falling more and more in love with the idea and thought of Grayson Halton out of Oklahoma here in Houston. And he plays a little bit, he got to get a little bit bigger, but he plays a little bit similar to Sheldon Rankins. And so I think he'd be a great addition to this defensive front with Raw Wright and those guys. But I think Rankins is a B.
Okay. I think that's a solid one. They also bring back, of course, we talked about EJ Speed already.
I like that move.
Who am I missing? Naquan Jones.
Kaimi.
Oh, Kaimi's. Well, that's the extension. Let's talk about the 3 extensions real quick. Schultz, obviously, Daniil, and then Kaimi. All A. I mean, they're all A's basically, right?
I think so. Daniil A, Kaimi, offensive MVP of the 2025 season. Still kind of throwed off that he didn't get all pro honors. That was just ridiculous. And
Wild.
Dalton Schultz getting repaid for the year that he had last year. Because, essentially it was Nico and Schultz and nobody else, on a consistent basis. So I would say A's for Daniil Hunter and Kaimi Fairbairn. Kaimi is now the highest paid kicker in NFL history. So shout out to him. And for Dalton Schultz, I would look at him as a B+.
I would say that's all very fair from those. The guys that we talked about in the first segment, Reed Blankenship, 3 years, $24.75 million, 16.5 guaranteed at signing over those 3 years, or total guaranteed, I should say.
I don't know. I can't grade him. I looked at a lot.
Why I think they signed him more? I mean, I know that they needed a safety, but you want to know why I looked at him and I go, oh, this fits. He wore that C on his chest. Captain. Not that they need captains, but those just probably fits that mentality.
And here's the thing, it's not like he played a ton of special teams in Philly. No, he's a starter for that team, a team that won the Super Bowl. So I looked at some of the tweets, some of the social media reactions from Philly fans. Looked at some of the video that I saw on social media. Again, I didn't get a chance to do a deep dive on Reed yet, but it feels like they were rejoicing he's gone. And when a team rejoices, that's not good. So I can't grade Reed as of yet. I do want to take some time to actually watch the tape on Reed and do some research and figure out why Philly fans rejoiced. But if I if I could take the film away and just look at the value of Reed Blankenship compared to what Houston needs, I would give it a C. They rotated so many safeties alongside of Kalen Bullock last year and still found a way to get it done and still found a way to sack Josh Allen 8 times or limit the Kansas City Chiefs offense or limit the Indianapolis Colts when they were hot, that offense, and Buffalo as well. And even in the playoffs, they still found a way against the Steelers and the Patriots, limiting the Patriots to was it 21 points going into the fourth quarter. The Texans defense found a way, and I look at on the offensive side of the ball, like I mentioned, nobody's moving a needle for me right now. That money could have been used to maybe bring in a game changer, a true game changer offensively, which Houston suffers from not having. So when I look at Reed, is he still a good player? Can he play at a high level? Houston believes so. They gave him a 3-year deal, and the deal isn't expensive. But I'm just indifferent on if his value would be enough to get the team over the hump when clearly they still lack a lot on the offensive side of the ball.
That position felt like one that you could have filled with a Nick Caserio special of a 1-year deal somewhere. Yeah. Like that's the thing. And then signed another 1-year deal guy to back him up. Like, I don't know. I would have given it a C+ for me. Not that he's bad. Like we might end up loving the guy. He might make this swarm defense even better than it was, the year before. And it was fantastic year before. Braden Smith, the tackle. We're going to assume tackle. I do wonder. I want to hear it come out of their mouth where they think he's going to play. I know he's played his entire pro career at tackle. But I'm just curious. I'm just very curious because the Texans, and we know they like to move people around. I'm just very curious. 2 years, $20 million, 13.5 guaranteed.
Good value. Good value. By the way, to the safety talk, Houston has MJ Stewart under contract for 1 more year. Jalen Reed, who they drafted last year out of Penn State, and obviously Kalen Bullock. They got 3 safeties already that have played some good football for Houston. When Reed was healthy, he was playing some good football. Again, that money for Reed Blankenship could go elsewhere, and we'll see if the Houston Texans do enough to get that talent up on the offensive side of the ball. Now to Braden Smith, Houston wanted somebody that can run block their tail off. And I also look at, okay, Smith, has he had a down year the last couple of seasons? Yes, he's dealt with injuries. 1 year he had his mental health issues where he took some time away from the game. That said,
better not be Kenny Britt all over.
Right, especially not for 13 half. But I think he's in a better space. Last year was the injuries. It wasn't necessarily the mental issues that he was dealing with. So I think he's in a much better space playing wise. And for Houston, he fits the vision and idea of what this offense wants to do. Tough, physical, beat you at the point of attack up front, blow your socks off at the snap, create rushing lanes for our running backs. That's what the Houston Texans want to do. That's what they preach. And I think Braden Smith fits that mold. But I'm with you, man. 9 years of playing tackle. I know Houston just moved on from Titus Howard. And Texan fans are just so used to just saying, well, he can play this position. He can play that position. It's hard to tell a guy that's been in the league for 9 years what position, a different position to play. So just stop it. I think he's going to be Houston's right tackle. I don't want to give it an A. I think age could be an issue. The injury concern is real. But again, I think this is a solid move, and solid moves, in my opinion, deserve a B.
I would have given this one a B as well. I think it's just right on par for what they've done so far. Logan Hall, the defensive lineman, comes from the Bucks. Houston Cougar product, I believe. Yeah. Logan Hall. 2-year deal, $13.75 million. He's got a guarantee of $9 million on that 2-year contract.
See.
Why is that?
I think Logan Hall is a good player.
Oh, okay. But I've seen some people writing that they think this is a really good fit, and I'm like, well, maybe I can be talked into it.
No, it's a good fit. Any D lineman is going to be a good fit. Only D lineman that we've seen come to Houston and not be a good fit is Darrell Taylor. Everybody else, Tyre Tart, a couple of seasons ago, his time, it was short with Houston, but he played good ball. Naquan Jones was signed, and within 3 weeks, he's playing some legit snaps for the Texans. They signed D linemen off the street, and they become productive players, which is why I got to give this a C, because what was the money on that again?
13.75 over 2 years with 9 of it guaranteed.
And K. May's contract was a little over 8 per year. So now Houston is still stuck with no left guard and Jake Andrews at center. But that money, Logan Hall is making that. That's why when I look at the value, MC, Is he a good player? He is a good player, and I think it's a solid move. Great defensive depth, but that money could have been allocated towards the offense. And that's just my biggest issue with this. Stop being cheap when it comes to the offense, especially in free agency, because here's the thing. Joe Mixon, what was he? Free agent. Yep. Well, they traded for him, but he was from another team. A veteran already in the league. Dalton Schultz, free agent. Okay. The two tackles, Titus Howard and Laremy Tunsil, inherited those players. Stephon Diggs traded for him. What I'm getting at is the best offensive players for the Houston Texans that has helped rise the offense has been Dalton Schultz, Stephon Diggs when he was healthy, Joe Mixon, and two inherited players. CJ in the mix, yes, and obviously Nico Collins is Nico Collins. But for the rest of that mix, it's been guys that the Texans have not drafted. So the formula is go get proven veterans that can play ball at a high level. And when I see a Logan Hall and a Reed Blankenship getting this money, but I still see Andrews at center, I can't make sense of it. The player itself, a good player. If I'm going based off the player alone, Logan Hall, I think that's a solid move. But he doesn't raise the floor, and it's another, in many ways, misvalue of what he can bring compared to what you need on the offensive side of the ball. So that's why I'm giving it a C.
Yeah, I think I probably would have just gone B- on mine. So again, it's nothing that moves the needle to me too terribly far. A couple more to get through, and then a couple of the departed that we'll talk about real quick, and then we'll start throwing about some names that are still available that we would like to see. I don't know. I don't think that any of us can predict anything when it comes to what Nick Caserio's thinking in between those ears. Absolutely not. We'll talk, though, about some of the names that are still available here before we get out of here on the Locked on Texans Squad show. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night from early tip-offs to late night West Coast shootouts. There's always action on the board, and now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into an even bigger potential wins with the college basketball parlay profit boost. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, ride with the teams you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside around it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. One of these days, Nick Caserio will not be making moves. That is one thing that we do know, because eventually the free agent pool will dry up. I won't completely dry up. They'll still be making moves as they get into camp and whatnot. A couple other things to run through real quick. I guess we can kind of slot all these guys together. I mean, Jake Hummel, Dominic Robinson, Foster Moreau. I mean, do those do anything for you? There's just nothing. Pieces, right? There's just players. Pieces.
Foster Moreau has a chance to be impactful. Like we may look up, and I still think the Houston Texans should draft a tight end early, but we may look up this year and say, wow, you know what? The numbers may not match what his actual impact is. He may only have 250, 300 yards on the season, but damn, did y'all see that Woody Marks run? Damn, did y'all see that? Did y'all see that blocking on that run? Did y'all see what Foster Moreau was doing on the backside of that play for David Montgomery to allow him to cut back and get open and go get your 30-yard run? So that's the value that I think Monroe brings to the team, which is extremely needed for Houston. It also spells trouble for Kay Stover and Brevin Jordan. They like Brevin Jordan a lot. They gave him an extension throughout the year. Doesn't mean that they can't cut him at
keeps getting hurt, keeps getting money.
Stover. Keeps getting hurt, keep getting money. But they like him a lot. The talent is there, obviously, but I think this definitely spells trouble for Kay Stover, who has not shown Houston anything in his first two seasons.
Yeah, that one's going to be one to watch for sure. Guys that left: Tim Settle off to the Washington Commanders. I still every once in a while want to accidentally call them their old name. 3 years, $24 million to go off to DC. That's some good money for Settle. But how'd you feel about
good money for Settle? He deserves it. Don't know if he'll have the same production in Washington as he has in Houston. But settled the last couple of seasons. I mean, he's been one of the more underrated D tackles in the league. Not a household name, but he's a damn good football player.
Yeah. Christian Harris, probably one of the most disappointing players of the Nick Caserio era, because it looked like you had a budding star there for a minute.
Yeah.
And he's literally just been on a milk carton ever since. Goes to the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't think anything's ever going to come of his career at this point, because there's no reason to believe that. But I mean, obviously, I would assume you're fine with losing him.
And MC, let me know how you feel. Like, did it always feel like, especially maybe that first year, but because remember that first year after the Cleveland Brown game, so the 2024 season, he missed the first 10, 11 games.
Yeah.
And similar to Joe Mixon, we never got anything like a straight shot as to what's going on with Christian Harris. But it always felt like, man, I want to see him on the field with Aziz at the same time and what that defense could look like at the second level.
Yeah.
And we never got it. It's extremely disappointing.
101 tackles in that 2023 season, 2 sacks, 7 passes defensed, a forced fumble, played all 16 games. I mean, and then since then, played 3 games in 2024, played in 15 this past year, but basically was just a special teams player. I mean, he was, what was he? Yeah, I thought he was a second-round pick. He was a third-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just disappointing. The other one, Tommy Townsend is out. He'll stay in the division. You still get to see him punt for the Tennessee Titans. But the Texans pull off a trade with the – I don't understand this one. Now, they're not giving up anything. Like, people freaking out about swapping a 6th and 7th round pick. Don't waste your breath. That's stupid to be mad about. But, like, this guy was one of the worst punters in the league last year. They better be bringing some competition for him.
Yeah, I didn't understand that one. I didn't understand it at all. And I'm also the person that felt like it would have been smart for Houston to move on from Tommy Townsend. But
I was
just based off the numbers alone, I would have kept Townsend for one more year than traded for that guy. So I don't know what Frank Ross in that pool he has, but was that a Frank Ross call, or
I saw something earlier that they worked him out, I guess, before training camp last year. He was part of the group that they brought in, and he didn't sign, and so they've at least seen him before. I guess they obviously like him.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a cheaper contract as well. I'm sure the margins aren't too different from a Townsend and a new guy, but I didn't understand it. But it's a punter, so I didn't want to make too much of it. Like, I didn't want to complain and throw a hissy fit, because at the end of the day, he's a punter.
Yeah, he's a punter. And I would be shocked if they didn't have a second punter in camp competing. Like, it's like you said, it's a punter. If the Texans are worth a damn this year, their punter won't be punted. I didn't realize how many times. You know how many times Tommy Townsend punted last season? I didn't know this till I looked up yesterday. I was like, yeah, but can you give me a guess on the number? Because I just imagined when they get this guy from the Saints, I was like, oh, that guy from the Saints had to punt way more than Tommy Townsend, because he was on the Saints, and the Saints were bad, and the Texans were good, and I was shocked at how wrong I was.
If I could put a number on the amount of times Tommy Townsend has had to punt last year, playoffs included?
No, just regular season.
Regular season, 17 games. Over 75?
Close. 72. And this guy for the Saints punted like 42 times last year. I'm like, damn. I mean, Kellen Moore must have just been like straight up F it all the time and going for it on 4th down. I mean, he didn't have anything to lose, and he is a little bit more aggressive than what the Texans do. So I was just shocked at the number. That's not.
And also for the Texans, you know how often they may have had the lead and just wanted to play to keep the lead, and so they don't want to be too aggressive in the second half of games. So I could see that. One team has something to lose, the other team has a playoff. They're on a playoff push and has something to lose. So I can see that.
Yeah. I'll just run through the list real quick, because there's still an extensive one here. If any of these names that are out there, if you'd like to see back still, tell me. Christian Kirk, Jimmy Ward, Danico Autry, Joe Mixon, Mario Edwards, Derek Barnett, Foley Fatukasi, Nick Chubb, Kirk Heinisch, Dario Ogunbowale, Braxton Berrios, Miles Bryant, Harrison Bryant, and Damone Clark. As you can tell, my dogs really don't want him back.
No. That's the dog barking. No, none of those guys need to come back. And I'm gonna say this: please don't bring Christian Kirk back. Not for a cheap deal, not for a team-friendly deal, not for any. Do not bring Kirk back. I know he had the playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he even caught a touchdown against the Patriots. But he just drafted Jalen Noel last year. It's time for him to prove whether or not he can be the guy. And I also think Houston still needs to invest in that wide receiver room, but it doesn't need to come from Christian Kirk simply because you cannot trust his body to hold up for 17-plus games. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, that's kind of – we'll do that here in a second because I don't want to cut it short. There are plenty of there's a couple of wide receivers that are out there that I'm kind of interested in. Now I want to hear your thoughts on a couple of those. I think of all the guys on there, does Derek Barnett still have any spot for them? Like, is there anywhere
they got Logan Hall now?
Yeah, I'm just like, is Logan Hall is that replacing Settle or is that replacing Barnett? That's my only question at this point.
I think Logan Hall is replacing specifically.
I wonder that because Barnett made some plays last year
and what he's done. So let's take a look at Logan Hall. Logan Hall, man, 879 snaps in the B gap, 894 over the tackle, 384 outside of the tackle. He's replacing Danico Autry, that guy that can play at the B gap spot, over the tackle for I. And I look at Dominique Robinson. Houston also still has. Let's take a look here. Houston also still has Dylan Horton and Solomon Byrd on the roster at the DN spots as well. So, yeah, I don't think there's any more room for Derek Barnett, who has played some good football for the Houston Texans. I think he scored twice in 2 years for Houston.
He's made some plays in some big games. That's the only reason I wanted to ask because it feels like he's made some plays. That was a good trade.
Yeah, Logan Hall, though, he's coming from a successful defense.
Mm-hmm.
And so he knows what winning looks like coming from Tampa. So you hope that the drop-off isn't bad. You also hope that Logan Hall, being a younger player, he is at what is he? He's
only like 4 years in the league at this point, I think.
Yeah, he'll be 26 during the season. 6'6", 283. The expectation for him is, you need to be out there making some stops. Last year he had 17 defensive stops. The year before, 20. The last 2 seasons, 8 total sacks, 37 hurries, over 50 pressures in the last 2 seasons. He could be a damn good asset for the Houston Texans. Again, I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's a really good player. Former second-round pick out of University of Houston. And I talked to him during the Senior Bowl period when he was coming out. The only thing with Logan Hall is, that money. But outside of that, he's a really good addition.
Yeah. I think, again, they've done solid work. Solid. Nothing spectacular to this point. Let's kind of go through some names maybe that we would like to see rumored about because, again, we don't know what Nick Caserio is thinking, and I wanted to get your thoughts real quick on the AFC South, what we've seen in the division overall here as we wrap it up on the Locked On Texans Squad show. Michael Connor and John Hickman here with you for the Locked On Texans Squad show. Stan is off tonight. He'll be back with us for the next one. Appreciate you guys for watching. If you're live, of course, here on the Locked On Texans YouTube page, make sure that you are subscribed to it. John's got the daily show pumping out. He's a very busy man because Nick Caserio's got him working, baby. Make sure you're checking out the daily show with John, and then you can get this podcast anywhere that you get your podcast. It is absolutely free. Everybody loves free. AFC South, John. What's stood out to you so far in the AFC South? Is it the Colts spending big to keep the quarterback wide receiver? Is it the Jags letting their running back walk over to the Saints, where he did get a lot of money? The Titans have done a bunch, but it hasn't inspired many people to think it's been worth a damn. What have you thought of the free agency in the AFC South outside of the Texans so far?
The Colts are stupid.
I'm with you, man. I don't understand Alec Pierce. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's a good player. But the guy has never caught 50 balls in a season, and he's the highest paid free agent receiver ever. It's good to have good timing, I guess.
That is my takeaway. The Colts are a bad franchise. It's just a stupid franchise. And I feel bad saying this because when I went to Lucas Oil Stadium, I was just like, bro, this is an amazing football stadium. And I could see this stadium on a Sunday afternoon rocking. That being said, Daniel Jones is making how much money?
50 this year. 50 in cash this year. And then another 30-something on the books for next year.
Houston's competition this year, I still think the Jags are going to be a competitive team. Mm-hmm. They're fielding calls, and this is also a takeaway. They are fielding calls, according to reports, for Brian Thomas Jr., which I think would be a mistake. You still have a young receiver, blazing fast receiver, that you got to just figure it out. He had a down year, but that first year he goes for 1,200 yards. So, things were a little bit different for him offensively last year. I think that'll be a mistake. But if they trade him out of the division, I mean, that's great for the Houston Texans. Other than that, man, I just look around the AFC South, and I think a lot of what we're going to see differently from the Tennessee Titans will come from the draft. The biggest thing, though, my biggest takeaway is
the glasses are coming off. It's serious now.
The Indianapolis Colts gave Daniel Jones $50 million
while he's recovering from a torn Achilles.
That franchise is so scared to hit reset. It is laughable.
It screams "save my job" too from Chris Ballard. I mean, like they've locked in. It's like, oh, give me a couple more years.
Yeah. Extend Chris Ballard. Keep him there for lifetime.
Yeah.
He gave Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce a combined $70+ million this year.
Yeah.
Extend them.
Yeah. Extend them.
The Colts are just a bad franchise. And they make dumb decisions. I think Houston Texans fans are thankful that they didn't re-sign Braden Smith, and he's now in Houston. But I'm baffled by that. Like, I'm kind of speechless that they gave Daniel Jones that amount of money while still having Anthony Richardson on that team.
Yeah.
Just a complete waste of a number 4 overall pick.
It's wild, man. It's absolutely wild. I don't think that that's the good news. I think of all the things, we might not love what the Texans have done so far. There's been nothing in the division that's separated anybody from gotten anybody close to the Houston Texans at this point.
Nothing. Everything is very just kind of the same across the board.
And I don't know if there's anything really in the AFC that jumps out to me that like takes one. I think what the Chiefs have been doing is interesting. Are they better? I don't know. We'll see. And of course, their quarterback's coming off of an injury. Obviously, it's been a big week for the Ravens. They say no on the Max Crosby trade, then immediately sign Trey Hendrickson, and then they try to lie at the press conference and tell everybody that they were going to have both of them. Sure, you were. Right. I don't think anything has happened in the conference. You tell me if there's something for you that's made any teams like drastically better.
No, but I also think this was a week of free agent class too.
Yeah.
So, that said, obviously we have our favorites, and the one thing about me, guys, and I think we've done a good job of being fair on this show, is we have our guys that we like for Houston. Like, I was a K Mays guy. I was a guy that was like, Edwards would be great, but he goes, I think Edwards is in New Orleans. David Edwards.
Yeah, he signed with the Saints 4-year deal.
He's with the Saints now. So that is, a good move for the NFC, maybe a bad move for the AFC, but essentially we have our guys. The Texans go the opposite way. That's fine. We'll talk about the players that they brought in, but this year it feels like the free agent pool altogether didn't have either names or they didn't have just flat out star power, playmakers that can upgrade an offense or upgrade a defense. We saw a lot of trades this week, the last several days, where you're getting Trent McDuffie, he's out.
Mm-hmm.
The Texans traded for David Montgomery, he's in Houston. So I think the trades that we're seeing is kind of indicating how franchises are kind of viewing this free agent pool, where there's some good players and some teams are just having to spend money because they have to. But ultimately, this year may be the year where if you're really hurting at a position, you may want to go upgrade it through the draft. Because the last thing I think anybody wants to do, and to this point, kudos to Nick Caserio, you don't want to feel like you overpaid for a player that isn't that great.
Mm-hmm. And there's plenty. I mean, there are plenty of guys that sign contracts across free agency that you look at and you go, "What?
Yeah,
really?" That's
starting
that's
in Indy.
Yeah, in Indy, I thought there was a couple. I think the Panthers kind of had one of those weeks where it's like, you guys are spending some serious cash on some of these guys. Looks like we lost John for a second, but we'll get him back here for get him back here before the show ends. As we'll kind of transition, and here is, hold on one second. Sorry about that. Kind of transition into guys that are available that are left. We've talked about, obviously, both of us, we're going to look at this thing and we're going to go, hey, offense is where the rest of your money that you're going to go out and spend needs to be spent. Are there any names for you that are still available that are on the John Hickman wish list?
Would have loved David Njoku over Foster Moreau.
Still available.
Still available.
Yeah.
So, and I'm kind of wondering how are teams feeling about him? What is his market looking like? But he would have been what I would consider a game changer offensively for the Houston Texans.
I've got three, and they're all at one position.
Guard, I'm assuming.
It's the wide receiver position.
Oh, you did? Yeah, let's talk about that.
So the three names that I've looked at, and I'm curious if any of them are a fit, and you tell me. Now, I don't think that this one's happening. I don't think any of them are happening. Let's just go ahead and put that disclaimer out there. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is still available. He was a productive player last year. You have a history with him. I mean, he's available. Juwan Jennings is another player that's available. He's had some good years, played in San Francisco. D'Amico knows him. And Deebo Samuel is still available. Any of those guys to you say, hey, take a flyer on. Obviously, our pipe dream that everybody had, Mike Evans, got a lot of money from the 49ers.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Maybe Juwan Jennings, I think, would make the most sense. Deebo,
43 yards last year for Jennings on 55 balls, caught 9 touchdowns, 28 years old, be 29 during the summer.
And the thing that Jennings provides is just being extremely reliable. And so
I think he'd be an upgrade to Xavier Hutchinson.
That is exactly where I'm going. Like when you need a guy to make a play and he may not be your top guy. And for Jennings, a lot last year, he did become San Fran's top guy because of the injuries. And so you look at that experience and how that can transition over to a new team. But I think the Houston Texans could absolutely benefit from having him on the field. I think CJ Stroud will benefit from having Juwan Jennings on the team because it feels like he always knows the right spots to be at for his quarterback. Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, I think they have similarities in their game where the system around them kind of elevates their quarterback play, though Brock Purdy in a lot of ways I think is a better quarterback at this point in his career than CJ Stroud. But he's also had Kyle Shanahan, that offensive line, CMC, Greg Kittle. So he's had some things kind of go his way. Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, they were healthy. Also, Ayuk is going to be released. Don't know where his head is right now, but maybe that's the name. But of the names that you just threw out there, I like a Juwan Jennings because I also feel like he won't cost a lot. I think he'll be a very cost-effective player that for his value, the contract would match up, and he'll be a great addition to this wide receiver room.
The only other name that I was going through this list that we did not mention there at all, Hollywood Brown.
He's a free agent?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay. He's a smaller guy, obviously. If you're looking for that, or I was talking about that slot type of guy, but he's been I think I'm with you. I think Juwan, of those players that I mentioned initially, Juwan Jennings would be the number one guy that I'd look at. I just wonder if his market may be a little too, because he has been over the last 2 years in San Francisco.
He's been pretty productive.
113 targets in 2024 for 77 grabs. Last year was 90 targets for 55. Played 15 games each season. Had a 975-yard season in 2024, which was down last year to 643. But the touchdowns were up 9 from 6 the year before. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be crazy expensive. I just wonder if that plays and if the history at all of knowing D'Amico matters. And then you could always fall back on what if nobody wants Stephon Diggs and he decided to stop choking people and you could do it for a year, bring him back. I think that should.
I never heard anything too crazy about Stephon in Houston.
Oh, it sounded like he was a good teammate. Everything's fine.
It sounded like he was a great teammate in New England. It's just off the field. Right now, looks like Juwan Jennings' projected contract is somewhere along 3 years, $67.8 million.
67?
That can't be.
There's
a
no way.
22.6 annual market. No, that can't be.
Who wrote this up? Is that on Spot Rack? Is that one of their projections or whatever?
Let me go take a look.
I mean, look, the Alec Pierce thing and Mike Evans got some serious cash, obviously. That doesn't. I mean, Mike Evans wasn't a productive player last year from a standpoint of being on the field and healthy. So I know he's a track record, but if that's the case, then I'm sorry I brought these names up. The Texans are not playing in any of these markets. I mean, hell, freaking Stephon Diggs was a 1,000-yard receiver last year. He's got to get way more than that too. Like, yikes. Maybe Nick Caserio's
look here.
He's not running in this.
I'm looking at the available wide receivers now for the 2026. Hey, Tyreek Hill is still out there.
Just that out. The question is, when is he coming back?
Yeah, Juwan, his market, according to Spot Rack, is 22.6.
Yikes.
Yeah, Houston, stay away from that.
Yeah. I wanted him as a Xavier.
I know we got to get to our parting shots.
Yeah.
I want to add that how many one-year deals have Nick Caserio signed so far?
I think 2. Is that it?
Okay.
Like free agents or his own? Are you counting his own?
I'm counting free agents, so not guys that were re-signed back.
Okay.
Straight free agents.
Then you've got 2 so far. You've got Dominic Robinson and Foster Moreau.
Okay.
Everybody else has been 2 years and then a 3-year.
All right. I'm 2 shots in the hole. I'm waiting to get past this week, and then I'll take all my shots. So that's my parting shot.
I'm a little disappointed he didn't have more one-year deals so far. I was really hoping we'd get you drunk.
Some friend.
I mean,
but it is only day 3. We've only gotten through the first 3 days, and so things could change. Easy Flowing 1. You guys need to do a live show. This is a live show, but we have talked about doing a live in-person show some point this year, maybe summertime. I think that'd be fun. Get out somewhere, get some wings, get some drinks going, and party with the people.
I could eat some wings. I'll give my parting shot here. Now I know that you were on this too, John. Last night, now this is just for all sports in general now. This includes us as football fans. We got to stop this. We got to stop this world where people do things in sports, and I'm talking about Bam Adebayo throwing down 83 points at a game.
Don't hate. Are you?
I'm not hating. I'm not hating at all. I'm talking about I'm hating on the people that want to tear it down immediately and have this and that or the other. Did he score 83 points in the game last night? He absolutely did. And that kind of goes to any sport, like when we evaluate anything. Okay, if the Texans go out and they win 24-20 and it's ugly, and CJ Stroud doesn't play the best football ever, did they win? Yeah. I don't get the world we live in now where people can go out and do something and we just want to just tear it to pieces immediately. It just blows my mind.
Stan culture is a reason why it's sports, or the sports culture it is where it is now. But here's the thing: the first 70 points was all ethical hoops.
Yeah.
So once you get to 70, with like 5 minutes left in the game,
like whatever, man,
you kind of have to go all out for the 83.
Yeah.
Well, 82 in this case, because Kobe had 81. So, like, I don't get the thinking of you got a guy that worked his tail off his entire career to make it to the league, and he's 12 points away from breaking Kobe's 81.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a Kobe fan.
Who cares?
And there's 5 minutes left in the game.
Should be appreciating it. You saw it in your lifetime. You saw a man score 83 points in a game.
You should appreciate it. And here's the thing.
It's only been three games in the history of the league that have had over 80 points in it.
Kobe was always big on pushing the game forward. Kobe would have loved that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear about efficiency because we're all Kobe fans. I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan.
He was a chucker. He took more shots than anybody.
Cut it. I'm glad you said that. I am so glad you brought that up, and I'm glad that you're on the right side of that. 83 points should be celebrated.
Yeah.
Because when he goes back and drops 21, 7, and 6, his next game, it will be back to reality, but at least we know at any time he can drop 83 on your head.
Just like with
Washington Wizards.
Just like when Matt Schaub threw for 527 yards on the Jags, baby. Same thing. Goes right back to who he is. But he's a little bit better than Matt Schaub was. That'll do it for us here tonight on the Locked on Texans Squad Show. Thank you for all of you that joined us live. Make sure that you're hitting subscribe to the YouTube page and come back and join us later on this week for our final show of the week. We'll have to stand back with us for that as well. That's John. I'm Michael. Thank you again for joining us right here on the Locked on Texans Squad Show.